Oh, it's going to be tough, dude. We just got half a Pop-Tart in us.
Well, soon we'll have a lot of Arby's in this.
And very soon we will have some Arby's in this. All right, ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Episode 12.
Episode 12.
And I'm here with my friend Joe, who is quite literally Larry the Lobster today.
It's actually not that bad. We were just saying that the sunburns faded, but yesterday was pretty rough. I'm here with my friend Chris, who is certified not an IPA guy.
Definitely not an IPA guy. Can confirm. We're hungover, to say the least. You know,
I'm more sleepy than hungover.
Last night I just treated IPAs like they were Coors.
Yep.
Which I've learned you can't do.
They're about double the alcohol percent. Every beer is basically like 2. So
I didn't know that. I looked it up today.
If you have a casual Chris and Joe night where you have about 12 Coors, but you switch that out for IPAs, that's 24 fucking beers. That's not going to do good things to your body and your mental health.
And that's what happened, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, very clearly, it was a rough night. I mean, I won't go into too much detail. Nobody wants to hear the details of it. But yes, I did, and not an IPA guy. I will not be going back. Today we have Kona Big Waves.
Yep.
Shout out Noah. I know this is one of his favorite beers.
Yep. Noah loves these shits.
These are pretty good. We're going to be ranking them on fast food places.
Yeah, which speaking of fast food, we've had the same fucking Arby's order in on DoorDash for probably 2 hours now. And we just keep on having different drivers pulling up to Arby's. They get told that it's not ready yet, and then they just cancel the order. This has been happening for 2 fucking hours. But anyways,
we were like, we need some food in us before these Konas.
Hopefully this is a little bit better. We're both operating on half a fucking protein Pop-Tart.
Which those are good, by the way. Not sponsored.
I'm liking this. I'm liking it a lot. I'm going to go with Taco Bell, one of my favorites.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. It does Baja Blast.
Right.
Reminiscent,
Yeah.
The Baja Blast of beers is what some would call it.
Everyone calls it that.
I would say, man, this is a good one. I'm going to give it a Popeyes.
In a good way?
Yeah, I love Popeyes. Popeyes is one of my favorite fast food restaurants.
Let's go. I'm trying to workshop some joke in my mind about me when I have this beer, because it's a big wave.
You look like your fit today looks like you should be drinking Kona Big.
I know, dude. I didn't even wear this shirt intentionally. This was just at the top of the drawer.
Yeah, you didn't know what I picked up till
No, I had no idea. Just going with a little tropical vibe for the boys. But same shit. You guys know the drill. We're at 52 subscribers. We just farmed another one last night. We're still getting closer to Toledo every fucking day. And some big new developments on the hats.
Yeah, wait, before we get into the hats, bro, it's so funny you say we farmed a sub, because that's what we do, bro. Whenever we meet a new guy who's actually pretty cool, we'll talk to him, like, not mention it for a while and be like, well, hey, we both have a podcast together, so, like,
I was thinking it objectively because we were talking to this guy. Nothing to do with our podcast, and out of nowhere, Chris just goes, yeah, we got a podcast, so, and the guy's like, oh, okay, I mean, I can, like, look into it, and he's like, yeah, go subscribe, and then the guy pulls up his phone, and Chris is, like, hawking over his shoulder, he's like, type in thinking beers, pull it up, hit the button, okay, cool, you got it, yeah, thanks, man, and then we just immediately walked away.
Thanks, bro, that's all we were here for.
Dude, he, like, intimidated the fuck out of him into subscribing.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you gotta do it, bro. I'm trying to go to Toledo, and I told him, too, I was like, we got hats coming soon, you should buy them. So we do have hats in the works.
The kid also, too, he was like, oh, no, dude, what do you say he does for work? I can't remember, but it was some stupid shit.
He drives cars to
dealerships. That's what it was. He was like a chauffeur at like a fucking car. So he's like, so I listened to some podcasts.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, bro, what the fuck?
I'll definitely give it a listen. I hope he listens to this one when it comes out.
Damn. Actually, I shouldn't shit talk. Shout out the boy, dude.
Yeah, he got Tommy John.
Tommy John surgery. He was supposed to be the next up. He was supposed to be the next Scherzer. Got side-tabled by some fucking injury concerns, but he still got a lot of time left to
He said he's
it.
Still throwing in the 90s, like 92 or like 87 or something like that.
So he says, but
yeah, I don't know.
So anyways, the fucking hats.
Yeah, it was a journey to get these hats. They're in process right now. They're going to be ready next week. So we're not going to drop it this episode. Hype them up. Go tell your friends about it. They're coming out soon.
Yeah.
Get on the wait list. I don't know. We don't really have a wait list, but just tell us that you want one and you'll be on the wait list. And then, yeah, man, harder than I thought to get it embroidered.
Yeah. Next episode we'll have obviously like the pictures and like the actual hats and shit so you guys can see what it looks like. But we've had the physical hats for a little bit and we were looking for an embroidery place to stitch it up. And Chris kind of did the research on that one, which I appreciate. And he goes, the best one I found is in Oakland Mall, which if you guys don't know, it has like the highest fucking crime rate of any mall in America, damn near. And so it's in Oakland Mall, and he keeps on telling me, he's like, it's Allie's embroidery, it's Allie's embroidery, and he keeps saying that, and I'm like, for sure, it sounds like I'm picturing probably like a fucking middle-aged white woman, and she's probably very good at what she does. And then we pull up to the place, and it is just the most Indian dude of all time. And I was like, Chris, what the fuck, you idiot? It is Ollie. It's not Allie's. He did not speak a lick of English, and he looked at us with just this blank stare.
And Joe was mad at me because he was like, you're talking to him like a 3-year-old.
Well, I get it, but it was kind of funny. He was like, Chris was like, do you know what hats are? And the guy's just like staring at him. He's like, this motherfucker, bro, I swear to God.
Well, I was like, do you do hats?
Yeah.
Can you embroider hats? And he just gives me this blank look, 5 seconds of silence, and goes, yes.
Yeah. I was like, can you?
That wasn't.
You had to think about it? What was that?
That's what threw me off. I was like, you have to think about this? But he did digitalize our font, which is going to be sick. It's going to be...
We were rocking this, dude, in Oakland Mall. We were, like, walking around, just visiting some stores, which also, like, I've always been an Oakland Mall hater, but shout out Oakland Mall. They had that Japanese store with there was a turtle with fully retractable limbs and head. That's big time.
There's just all these vending machines. It was like no one worked at the store. It's just a huge, like, you put in $1 and you get a little toy.
Yeah.
There's like a million machines all around.
Yeah, but they had a few cool stores like that. And me and Chris were walking around to these different stores, and we keep on passing by Ollie. We're like, yo, I think he's fucking working on it right now. And he'd just be cooking up on his laptop in the middle of the mall. It wasn't even like an actual store in the mall.
It was a kiosk. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like in the middle of the mall, like a little stand-up guy. So as soon as we like got to the mall, I'm trying to find the store. I'm like, where is it? I'm like, we're looking at a mall map, and it's just in the middle. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is not where we want to start. This is not where we want to begin.
We went in the store that does screen printing right across the fucking like hall or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were asking them if they did embroidery. And the guy's like, no, but Ali does it out there. And we're like, yeah, no, we already talked to him. How is he? And he was like, he's okay. And we're like, well, fuck.
And then we went to Lids. Lids just quoted us up the ass.
Yeah.
At least they were like, it's this much.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't make us wait. And then finally, Ali gets it digitalized in 45 minutes or whatever. It was like, it ended up being a while.
Yeah.
And then he like texts me and he's like, it'll be $20 for a hat if you want both, because we were going to do the side too. We're not getting the side.
Yeah.
But
it was too much. We had to go to even though I said Oakland Mall is sketchy and in the hood, we had to go deeper into the hood to find the real embroidery place.
Yeah, facts. And to be honest, it gave me a great vibes from the moment we walked in.
Just good people.
And after we talked to him, she actually taught us a lot about how we did it. Also, my mom called me yesterday and was like, my best friend, like my friend at work does embroidery. She would hook you guys up for really cheap. I was like, you decided to tell me this now. I told you I was
a week after we monetarily committed to this other place.
Yeah.
No, we got the embroidery place locked in. They'll be done by the time the next episode comes out, so be on the lookout for that. Last thing I'll say there, shout out Oakland Mall, dude. Like I said, I've always hated it, never wanted to go there. But me and Chris went to the food court, and the very first place in the food court was this guy giving out free samples of like cut up pieces of hamburger that have been sitting around forever for sure, because they were like ice cold.
They were pretty cold.
It's like really cold.
So good,
and then I'm like, what the fuck is this place? And Chris goes, it's called Incredible Burger. And I was like, what do they have? And he's like, that one looks like it has Cool Ranch Doritos and hot sauce on it. And I was like, bro, this guy's just me when I'm hammered. This is exactly what I'd make if I was just plastered. And I was like, whoa, let's fucking put Doritos and hot sauce on this. It was such a clown fucking... Yeah, the food court was insane. What was what did you say the mascot or like the thing was for that other place?
Mexican place? Yeah, it had like a little like dragon dog. It was like a cartoon dragon, and it was just like some Mexican restaurant. I was like, that's like the weirdest logo to have for your restaurant. But,
yeah.
Hey, So long story short, hats coming soon.
Coming soon.
We do know the pricing. We can say the pricing.
Yeah, so it's going to be a 3-tiered pricing program where here, bear with us, but we want it to make sense for everyone. So the first tier is going to be $27 a hat, and you get $27 a hat if you pick it up from Chris's apartment or if we see you often enough to where it's convenient to just give it to you.
Right.
The next tier is going to be $30 for a hat. That's if you're within a 30-minute radius of Chris's apartment and we drop it off to you.
Which, if you don't know where I live, Renshaw's. Just Google Renshaw's.
Well, don't dox, bro.
30. Well, I'm not even by Renshaw's.
I know his address.
30 to 45-minute radius of Renshaw's, and I'll deliver it to you for a small increased fee of $3.
It's not that much, considering how much you'll have to spend in gas.
Exactly.
And then the last tier of the pricing is it'll be $33 per hat if you live in a spot where we have to ship it to you.
That's for all my Chicago boys out there.
Chicago boys, you got the Colorado boys, you got the Texas boys, Oklahoma. Yeah. There's no way Josh is going to buy a hat. He doesn't listen to this, so I can't say fuck you, Josh.
Yeah.
But
Pat's the type of guy to get it shipped to.
He might.
Like 30
because we never
away.
see him. Yeah. Pat does not fit into the tier 1 pricing because we never see him. He never hangs out with us.
But yeah, no, we're very excited. They're going to turn out great. I love the color. The stitching's awesome. The people are great. Home feel, home businesses. We support local businesses around here, and we're excited to bring it to you. So we've actually been hanging out a lot more recently, too.
Yeah.
Like, the last time we were away because I was traveling, but we've been back. We've rekindled.
Right after last episode, we went out to, well, you went to go to a housewarming party, and I linked up with Braden, convinced him to go to St. Clair Shores because they had the social district thing. It was pretty good. I mean, I don't really spend that much time in St. Clair Shores, but it was just busy as fuck, and you weren't there yet, so it was just me and Braden, and you were about to pull up, but I kept on having to save the table for Braden because he went to go get a beer, go to the bathroom, and it was so busy it would take him 30 minutes to go do that and then come back.
Wait, were you sitting at a table? Or?
Yeah, we were like at an outdoor table.
To save the table? You weren't sitting at the table?
Save the seats.
Oh, people
because people were trying to steal the chairs.
Oh.
And every time they would come up to me and they'd be like, yo, do you actually have anybody you're sitting with, or can I have this chair? And I'd be like, every time I'd be like, I swear to God, he's coming back. It reminded me of prom from high school because my buddy, he got stood up by his date like 10 minutes before prom. She was like, no, I'm not coming. It was actually a fucked up situation. But you're sitting there and you're getting like your meals and shit, and her spot just had like the salad there and like the entree there and shit, and like the people coming around kept on trying to take it. I'd be like, don't take that, she's coming, I promise you she's gonna be here. And my boy was just sitting there like crying because he was so pissed. It was fucked up. He drank like a whole water bottle of vodka because he was so sad.
Yeah, there's just a guy at my prom that, like, I forget what happened. I don't think he got stood up, but he he was just like, took an edible before prom, and while we were eating the dinner, he was just like playing with one pea on his plate with his fork for like an hour and a half. Like, he was
high as hell.
Yeah, he was just like moving this one pea around, and we were like,
he's pushing pea, bro.
Yeah, he is.
You paddock on my wrist, I'm pushing pea. That's what his mind was sounding like.
He was pushing pee before it was a thing.
Yeah, I've been pushing pee before Gunner even said it. That's a Big X the Plug line. Dude, you gotta send that to the boy. This guy's pushing pee. Yeah, that's so funny. But yeah, so I mean, St. Clair Shores, though, was fun. Right after that, this was an all-time because I was going to the bathroom and this guy was like, oh, I gotta wait for the stall. And if you're waiting for the stall, obviously, and it's the crowdest bar of all time, I looked at the guy and I was like, is it shit or Coke? And he said shit. But I thought about it more. If you were in that situation and you had to shit, would you actually shit in that bathroom? You would, in my mind, I would go and find a less busy place.
Yeah, but I mean,
how hard would it be to shit in the most like fucking trafficked area?
So busy. Like, I don't even know where else you'd go.
Dude, I'd go home, honestly. I don't care. Like, I would not shit there.
Dude, bro wasn't stopping the party. He wanted to continue to have a good time.
I guess. I feel like it has to be Coke, though.
Yeah. Did I tell you when I was at Movement, there was like 5 porta potties in this area we were at? It was actually at like a bar called...
Sound like gunshots?
It was a bar called TV. Yeah, but did I tell you about the lady that was there? I've never seen this happen before. I've always thought about it. So... it was called TV Lounge.
Yeah.
And it's like right outside of, I guess it's kind of over by like MGM or like Motor City Casino or whatever. But we're there. They had like 3 stages, super cool. But they had 5 porta potties outside in the middle. Yeah. And the line was only like 4 people long. But all of a sudden, I get up there, I'm in line, and this lady gets right, like 2 people behind me in line, and she's like, hurry it up in there! Hurry up! I need to go! Hurry it up in there! Like, I know you're fucking not peeing. Stop doing coke. Stop doing drugs. I gotta pee. And I was like, I've never heard anybody harass the people in the porta potties before.
Well, the way you said it, I'm going to take a wild guess.
She was going to go in there and do something.
Something bad, dude.
You think she was going to explode?
No. I mean, I was more so getting at that based on the impression you gave. Black.
Mm-mm.
Huh?
No, it was this crazy white lady. It was crazy. She was like older. She was like 35.
Yeah. Holy shit. I wouldn't have guessed
40
that.
Probably. Yeah. She was just crazy.
Damn, what a bitch. She should have knocked her out then.
She was like by herself in line. And then I'm in line. I'm like, I'm going to take my sweet ass time. I'm going to pretend like I'm doing drugs.
Yeah, specifically take longer.
Exactly. But I will say, when she did it the first time, and she like really went crazy, everyone came out right away.
It worked.
She was like, all you got to do is say something. I was
oh my God.
It did work.
What a bitch, dude. That would piss me off so bad.
But yeah, so conveniently, the housewarming I went to was in St. Clair Shores, so I got to link up with Joe later that day. Mm-hmm. I get there, we're at a bar, we got like 1 drink, and then was it like raining or was it like cold outside?
It was just fucking freezing.
It was cold.
It was like the real feel was like 45 degrees.
But it was
and I pulled up in like shorts and a t-shirt.
Same. And Joe, they had all these stores. I'll tell you what I bought first. I bought candy. Freeze-dried
space candy,
and I was making Joe eat it. He like didn't want to eat it at all.
Remember,
you have to eat this.
Remember when we were at the bar after, and he gave me that huge, like he gave me a piece of space candy that was the size of like a fucking waffle, and I somehow fit the entire thing in my mouth. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I just go. You don't have to eat it all in one bite.
I don't know why. I felt like it was a one biter.
Yeah. It was like a log. It was like huge. It was big as fuck.
So that's what Chris bought, and I chose to buy the absolute gayest hoodie that I possibly could have bought. This guy was a good salesman.
I was telling you not to buy it the whole time.
He scammed me. He was a good guy, and I wanted to support him.
You did. You're like, you're an asshole. I support local businesses. I was like, it's literally, that's kind of why I wore this Red Wings logo today. This guy had the Red Wings were all pizzas.
No, the circle part was a pizza, and then the things were all chicken wings. It's a good crew neck. It honestly is. Because you were shitting on me so much.
This was a big pizza, and then this was like
chicken wings. And then underneath like the wings,
bunch of mini chicken wings.
Underneath the wings, it said like feed homeless gay women or something. I don't know. I got to telling Marissa, it was like, I bought this hoodie, and all the proceeds go to gay, homeless, lesbian, starving women. Whatever fucking cause this guy was trying to support. Chris was shitting on the hoodie. I wasn't too fond of the hoodie. It was one of those where I bought it, and then I pulled back up to the boys like, wait until they get a fucking load of this one. And then I pulled up, and they were all like, why would you buy that? It looks horrible, and I also hate you. We're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
So, it was a big collapse of my confidence.
True. And then we took some green tea shots.
Next day, Father's Day.
Yeah.
That was a big one. I got my dad this game, and it was called You Ought to Know That, or You Should Know That, something like that. But essentially the premise of the game is the questions are supposed to be like easy, and they're tiered by how easy they are, and you're supposed to know it. And if you don't know it, you get minus points. So everyone starts with 20 points. And so George was the question asker for this. And he was fucking rigging the game so my dad could win it easily. And it was making me so mad because my dad's questions, I'm not joking, were like, did Kermit love Mrs. Piggy? And my dad would be like, yes. And George was like, yep, that's perfect. And then it would come to me, and it was like, what is the name for angel hair pasta in Italian? And I'm like, what? I don't speak Italian. And then he's like, and I'm like, how the fuck is that? His question was, does Kermit love Miss Piggy? It was insane. So I ended up rigging it, and my dad won.
It's Father's Day. It's Father's Day.
I know, but I also hate losing. It's pissing me off. We're just smug ass just sitting there, but It was making me so mad.
If it came down to it, and you and your dad were tied going into the last question on Father's Day, would you let him win? Yes or no?
No, because he wouldn't do it for me if it was my birthday or something. My dad's taught me two things. You can't play baseball because baseball's gay, and you gotta fucking win at everything you do. Those are the two lessons my dad taught me.
Yeah. My shout out my pops. He lives in Florida, so I didn't get to see him, but I just called him, talked to him for a while. It was a good time. But no, I did go karting, and I thought it was interesting that they serve alcohol, and they are like, yeah, like have some beers and then go karting. I thought that was potentially illegal.
It must just be because it's inside of like a building.
Yeah, if you can get a DUI on a bike, you should be able to get a DUI on a go-kart.
Right.
But I wonder if it's, you're right, like because it's their building, it's like inside.
An enclosed thing. Dude, what is that CJ Barrymore that has the fucking go-karts?
Yeah.
Dude, me and Marissa did that one time, and it was clearly meant for children, but I'm in the passenger seat, and like half my ass is like hanging out this thing because I'm too big for it. Yeah. And Marissa's like skirting around the corners, and just the sheer mass that I am having on this fucking car is like making us like, dude, we're cutting turns like 180 degrees in like a second because of my body weight. She's like trying to make a right turn, it's like... Dude, we literally won so fucking... We were like 20 seconds ahead of everybody else. It was insane.
The one that we went to, they said they had the fastest carts in Michigan.
Did they? Did it feel like it? Well...
Yeah, they went 35, 40. They went
like 30. Shit.
Yeah, they go fast.
40 miles per hour?
That's what it said.
Holy fuck. That seems way too fast for that.
But it was so funny because my case being big was not an advantage because I would go around the corners... And I was watching like the people that didn't weigh a lot go around the corners, and like they would fly, just go quick. And then I would go around the corner, and it would go. It would like skip, like my wheels were skipping to the outside.
There's like sparks flying because there's so much weight. The rims just like with the metal rims against the ground.
Yeah, and then that reminds me. So we did like practice race, qualifier, and then we did a championship race. Your boy placed in the top of the slow riders.
The slow riders?
I'm happy with. Yeah, there's like
how did they
20
determine
people
who
there.
The slow riders were?
20 people there. There was 2 qualifiers, and then they took the top people in the qualifiers. I did not do well in the qualifiers.
Okay.
But the qualifiers, it was so stupid because every race was like you're just going for fastest lap.
Yeah.
And I felt like my first, like they show the leaderboards after, and my first race, I got second fastest lap. So I was like, oh, I'm chilling. But I found out that I got in a cart that was just slower the second time. So my practice race, I was like 28 seconds. And then my qualifier, I was like 34.
Damn.
And I was like, I literally did not take my foot off the gas. It was forward the whole entire time. I was like, what am I? I could not have done anything to be faster.
That's tough.
That happened.
Which honestly, though, like Mario Kart, I always chose Bowser and Donkey Kong because they weighed more. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, in my mind, if they weighed more, the car would be closer to the ground and more aerodynamic, and they'd be faster. I figure you are built, honestly, kind of like Donkey
Bowser.
Kong.
And do you think Donkey Kong?
Yeah,
that's a compliment. I'll take that.
I'd say Donkey Kong if he was like way less muscular and a little more just fat, and but just kind of like the same height.
You're built like baby Bowser.
I mean, I'm
or Bowser. Actually, just Bowser. No.
Didn't you always say I was built like Koopa Troopa?
Yeah, you do look like you remind me of Koopa Troopa.
That's the most disrespectful thing because Koopa Troopa is the most like fucking inconsequential character in all of Mario.
Well, who'd you play as in Mario Kart?
It's always Bowser and Donkey Kong.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, you did say that. You know when you're playing against the homies, yeah, because you get to murk on people.
I know, like a lot of people would do like fucking Baby Luigi and fucking like.
I was Dry Bones. I was Dry Bones every time.
Dry Bones is a good one. He's a pretty lit ass cart.
I always thought he was cool, and he was kind of like low key. Like he wasn't really anybody's favorite, you know.
Dry Bones, what you pick if you grew up in a trailer park?
Relax, bro. Dry Bones, what you pick if you're a cool guy?
No, that's facts, dude. Dry Bones is what the trailer park kids picked, and then let's see. If you had money, you were picking Luigi. All the kids with some money were picking Luigi.
That is facts. And if you were a chick, you were always picking.
Miss Peach or whatever, Princess Peach,
or honestly like Toad, or like what they had like the baby Peach, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, go karting was fun in the championship race though. like every race. That's what I was gonna say. The qualifier, it was, it still was a year timed lap, but they started everybody like
staggered.
Yeah, like one person would go, then the next one, then the next one. But the championship race was, they like started us like you would actually start a race, like it's staggered, but like right next to each other, and then it was whoever finishes first. So the whole time they're like, you can't really bump people. We don't want you to hit people. Like you can't be doing that. You have full on helmets.
That would have been your biggest advantage.
I had a do-rag and a helmet.
Well, you're wearing a do-rag.
So this is what I'm saying. So it was my advantage to do that because in the championship race, I started in like 7th place. I started like behind at the end because I just was placed back there. And then I ended up getting 3rd place. So I passed like 4 people.
Yeah.
And one of the times we were coming around, there's like a double turn. And I saw this guy trying to pass another guy. So he was trying to like squeeze and pinch him against the wall.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is my only time to pass.
Squeeze and pinch him. I was picturing like physically, like he's leaning over the car. He's like,
but he's doing that. And I was like, oh my God, this is my only time to pass him. So I pinched both of them in the wall. Turns out the guy all the way that was like closest to the wall, his cart went underneath the wall and his shoe fell off because it like scraped against his foot.
Fucking die?
And then they had to stop the race. They literally told us at the beginning, they're like, we don't stop the races here. If you're stuck, like somebody will come and help you and you'll keep going. But they were like, we have to stop the race because his shoe fell off and his cart like broke. Like the side of his cart like ripped off.
Jesus
so
Christ.
He got to race in the Fast People Championship because I pinched him basically.
Damn.
But it was all fair game. And then I got 3rd place, got to stand on the podium, took cool pictures.
Nice.
It was a good time. But
that's big time. Speaking of driving, I was just in an Uber on Tuesday. And, I mean, all right, I'm not going to get political. I think it's good that we bombed Iran. I will say that. But I'm not going to get political. But I was in this Uber. And, I was going into work in the morning. And it was very, like, serendipitous timing where I'm texting one of my buddies about these Iranian sleeper cells and how he thinks it's a real thing and that there's sleeper cells in the United States that are going to kill us. And this Uber driver, I get in, no profiling, but he was for sure Middle Eastern based on his name and his looks. And instead of playing music, he was a-cappellaing like some fucking Middle Eastern music. You know, I'm not going to like try and sing it, but he was basically singing it with no radio on. And I was like, all right, whatever, man, do your thing. I'm not going to say anything. But as I'm texting my boy about this, I'm starting to get more and more worried. And right as we're about to get into my work, his car starts beeping, but not like a normal car beeping. It's like an artificial noise coming from somewhere else. And it's like ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, oh my God, this fucking supercell's about to pull me up, dude.
What was it? Do you figure out what it was?
I don't know. It was probably his fucking gaslighting. I was just being like racist and paranoid, but it was still scary. So it was really nothing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I had an Uber driver the other day. He was Lebanese, but I get in. It was like a Monday night, and I had to Uber to a parking garage. But he's like, "How was your night? What'd you do?" I was like, "Got a nice dinner." Met the mayor of Detroit. Didn't meet him. I just looked at him.
Dugan.
When I told you that yesterday, you were like, "Fuck that guy."
Fuck Dugan, bro. He's a piece of shit.
He's going for governor.
He's worse than Kwame, bro. If he's governor, I'm moving out of the state. For sure. Dugan's a bitch. And I will say that. Again, not trying to get political, but Mayor Dugan is a fuckhead, and I hate him.
So he was sitting next to me at dinner. But that night, I Uber home, and he's like, "What'd you do?" I was like, "I was just watching Love Island." He's like, "I love Love Island." I was like, "Let's fucking go." We'll talk more about it later, but the Uber stories are so funny, bro. They're always funny.
We talk about Uber so fucking much.
Yeah, we take more Ubers than the average human, I bet.
Well,
which is reminding me, dude. Should I go check for our Arby's?
Yeah, let's go check. Quick pause. We'll be back in a second.
I can't believe it's still not ready.
It's got to be getting denied. I don't know why, but Arby's is for some reason refusing to make our fucking beef and cheddars. Dude, we got the signature Arby's sandwich that they should have fucking pre-made and ready.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they're refusing to make it.
I thought too. I thought like, oh, maybe it's been there for a while because it said when we got this. All right, it is for everyone watching. It is 2:36 right now. I think we ordered the Arby's at 12:20.
Yeah. For
It's
sure.
been 2.5 hours, bro. 2:15.
We've had 7 different Ubers pull up to Arby's, and each time they pull up, Arby's is like, it's not ready yet. What the fuck are they doing?
One of them I messaged, I was like, I'm recording a podcast.
Yeah.
Don't text me when
you should
you
have told
get
them to sub.
Yeah, subscribe.
Thinking beers, subscribe.
You have been assigned a new driver.
yeah.
But the boys are hungry.
Yeah.
To say the least.
We're really hungry.
But no, we did have a little date night,
mm-hmm.
you could say, perhaps. Was that last weekend?
Yep.
We went to go see 28 Years Later.
Yep.
New movie out right now. I didn't know it was a sequel when we watched it. So funny, though, after the movie.
Didn't know it was a sequel and didn't know that it wasn't a horror movie, or honestly, it really wasn't even a zombie movie at all. It was horrible fake advertising. They should be ashamed of themselves for being deceitful. And it was ass.
It was
no, it wasn't that bad.
It was much more storyline focused than zombie focused, if that makes any sense.
It was weird. Yeah, they were trying to like make some sort of a point. I thought it was going to be a scary zombie movie. From the trailers, it looked like it.
It looks scary. So let's just like, no one's going to watch this movie. So there's on the trailer, it gave us, we were both saying it on the way there, like Midsummer vibes.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like Midsummer, which I love that movie.
Right.
And they have like this creepy guy, which there is a guy in the movie who is a good guy, but he has just thousands of dead bodies on his property.
I don't know if I'd say he's a good guy.
Yeah,
he was collecting skulls, and he also fondled the dying woman's boobs.
Yeah, and
for science or to be a pervert, that's for you guys to decide. I thought, in my mind, that guy was like, yo, I haven't seen anybody in like 15 years. He's like, wait, I think you have breast cancer. Let me check.
Do you remember when that zombie gave birth to
that was
a normal
gross.
baby?
Yeah.
That was crazy. And then like the whole point of the movie is like this kid, he hates his dad, and then he goes to like save his mom from cancer.
Yeah.
And like they finally find this doctor who is the guy we're talking about that is like has all these dead bodies and he was doing it because he wanted to remember the dead and
some bullshit ass reason.
But he was just burning bodies all day long. He also did figure out that you could just rub this shit on you and the zombies wouldn't come after you.
Yeah,
which proved to be false because the zombie came after them. So
said it helps a little bit, but apparently you just put them full of tranquilizers. But Chris is honestly bearing the lead here. The main point, or I guess like the main plot point of this movie that me and Chris were drawn to is all the zombies are primarily, they have huge dongs. Yeah. They were having huge flomping elephant trunk dongs. And they would run around and be pissed.
Exactly. They had like, they were kind of more like I Am Legend zombies over Walking Dead zombies.
Well, there was 2 kinds because they had like the bitch ass
alphas.
Like
they had
crawlers. Well, we're the bitch ones.
I think they just were
like
normal.
The crawler, whatever they call them. Those boys were built like Chris. It'd just be like a fucking dude lurking over, and then they would just like kill it easy. And then the alphas would pull up, and the alphas were just yoked as fuck. With,
it was like Jason Momoa type people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they would just have like the biggest dick of all time.
Yeah.
For no reason, they just put all these big dicks in the movie.
Yeah, which honestly, I didn't even realize at the time, but when we were getting concessions on the way in, the guy was like, what movie are you guys saying? And we were like, 28 Years Later. And he was like, man, I had a real hard time watching that with my dad. Just there's so many huge dongs in it. And we were like, what?
Well, no.
What are you talking?
He said sex scenes. He didn't say. He just said, tough watch with my dad, but great movie.
He said something about penises or something. Dude, I don't know.
And we were like, what? And then we saw it and we were like, I guess. Like, it was just weird.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be like, if I saw it with my dad, I would be like, oh, we're both looking at this huge dick together. Fuck, that's so gay.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even point. I wouldn't even care. I wouldn't even think twice about it. But that brings us to our first segment of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Both repeats today. Digesting Cora.
Yep.
We got this question from the movie. If there was a zombie apocalypse right now, so we see people just running outside the door, zombies, but we are going to classify what zombies later. So if there was a zombie apocalypse right now, what would we do?
Yep. So we kind of already talked about this. We think that, or the premise that we're going to go with, it's more like Walking Dead zombies, not I Am Legend zombies are like sprinting and fast and cool. It's Walking Dead ones that are slow and ass.
Exactly. So I don't know, bro. I mean, the funniest, when we were planning to talk about this, I was like, do you think you'd call your girlfriend? Like, do we go save our girlfriends?
I feel like
My
we'd
girlfriend's
have
so
to.
far away. I'm going to Detroit. Detroit would be the worst place to be in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
like in the
just
city.
pure quantity.
Oh man,
I feel like I'd be relying on Marissa to come pick me up because I can't drive, so she would have to save me.
Well, we're thinking about it. We're together.
Yeah.
You know what I would do? I'm not.
Well,
even
we
gonna
would
lie.
still have cell
I'm
service.
not even gonna lie to you. Yeah, we would. I would be like, Joe, immediately we're going to the UP. We're going
Just
to a cabin in the UP, and if we have to build a cabin, I'll build a cabin. And then on the way there, because like the zombies probably wouldn't be that much up north yet.
No.
So
and
like
there's
it would take
honestly
some time to
nobody
get there.
in the UP. I would be interested to look at the stats of that, but there's no way there's more than like 30,000 people that live in the UP.
Yeah, I have no clue how many people live up there. I mean, there is a college up there, so maybe more than that.
Nobody goes there.
It's Marquette.
Yeah, that college sucks ass.
People go there, and there's Northern Michigan. There's 2 colleges there.
Marquette's a college?
Yeah.
No.
That's where Dwayne
Northern
Wade
Michigan
went. Dwayne Wade went to Marquette.
He didn't. There's no way he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Somebody famous went to Marquette, bro.
No, I don't think Marquette's a college. Well, Marquette is a college, but it's not UP Marquette.
It's a different Marquette.
Marquette, the college.
So there's Marquette, Michigan, and then there's Marquette College.
Yeah.
It's separate.
Marquette. Are you talking about the basketball school? I'm pretty sure is in like fucking. So they're in like Minnesota or probably in Rhode Island, or it might be in Florida, or it could be in California.
It could be in the UP.
Yeah. That's the one place I know it's not, is in the UP. No, but there's about 12,000 people that live up there. So at absolute worst, if we go out there, we would have to kill 11,998 people, which I think that we could do.
I agree. I mean, well, that's the thing. It's like, okay, what are we bringing there? So I don't have many weapons.
We have these stools. Honestly, the phone's on a stool right now. I feel like if we dismember that just into being wooden sticks,
yeah,
we could just use it as
we
fucking
could whittle
clubs.
them. I'm a good stick whittler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that I have golf clubs.
Golf clubs would be good, actually, dude. Imagine just taking a driver to a fucking zombie's dome piece.
I feel like the driver would break. I feel like I would almost rather have like an iron or like a hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid. Hybrid would kind of be the perfect.
Yeah, it would. And then, man, I mean, so we go to the UP, we find a cabin.
We're going to have to repopulate, so you'll have to get gender reassignment surgery.
No. No. We can just find other people.
There's no one else. It's just us. So you're going to have to get a vagina.
That might be you that has to get it.
No.
But I don't know. Like, do you think, let's say we couldn't get out. Let's say the highways, because that's kind of what happens in The Walking Dead. Like, the highways are just like, you can't really drive.
Yeah, but Michigan's so unpopulated. If we had to stay right here, I don't know. I'd probably find a fucking mansion. I'd probably honestly go to whatever mansion I can find.
Bloomfield or Birmingham. And then, well, you would imagine there's people living there.
Well, we'd kill them. Or, honestly, have you ever seen those videos of...
But how? We don't have a gun or anything.
We can get a gun. I could get a gun quickly. But have you ever seen those videos of... it's like a homeless person living in...
Can you actually get a gun?
I could, yes.
Would they allow...
No, legally not, but this is zombie apocalypse. I know where guns are and how I would get
Dick's Sporting Goods.
That's not where I would go. If you'd like to go there, that's fine, though. But have you seen those fucking videos? Have you seen the videos where it's like a homeless person living in somebody's attic? And they're like stealing the food at night and shit? And then they're like... But one day, like, the people will realize, and they'll, like, open up the attic and just be filming, and that's just, like, a homeless person, like, what?
That's what you would do?
They're like, what the fuck? Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you find a mansion, it doesn't matter if there's people living there or not, because you could just live somewhere in there and just leech out their resources, and they probably would never know.
I'm saying like they would kill you if you walked up to their property.
No, bro. Anybody with a mansion is a bitch.
They probably have guns. But what I was going to say is there's an archery place right here. So I'd probably go to this archery place.
Can you shoot a bow?
I have before.
I have a long time ago. My dad actually banned me from using the bow and arrow because...
You got banned? IRL banned?
Yeah. I was shooting the bow and arrow one time, and then, like, right while I had to pull back, there was a bee, and, like, the bee was flying around, and I, like, went over and like tried shooting the bee, and it like flew into the pole barn and like made a huge hole in it. And he was like, "You're not using this anymore." Whatever, dude. Whatever.
Yeah, I think
good shot though.
I think the toughest thing, like if we were here, I think the toughest part would be going to get food. I think food would be of the essence.
Yeah,
and
especially because we can't even fucking get Arby's with real technology. The only food we had in here was that fucking protein Pop-Tart. We'd be dead so quick.
Yeah, it's not good. I think I have eggs and salami and cheese and bread in the fridge. That's about it.
I think I'm persuasive enough that I'd be able to convince you. I'm like, bro, let's chop off just like half of your leg and we'll eat that.
No.
Dude,
No.
I would convince you.
No.
Yeah.
And no one's ever convincing me of that.
And I would just eat your leg, dude.
You would also need me. You wouldn't want to eat you. Why are you so quickly going to like, I need to eat you. We need to repopulate. Like you're going to the end of the zombie apocalypse. I'm just trying to see if we would make it
Bro,
a year.
As soon as so speaking of 28 years later though, that night I also went back and I watched 28 Days Later, which was the first movie. It was just as bad. But that's more the tip I'm on. I don't care if it's fucking 28 days or 28 years. I'm immediately eating your leg and I'm immediately fucking you.
Which was funny, Joe, when I dropped him off after the movie, he's like, I always have to go watch like what happened, like what's the meaning behind the ending of the movie.
This movie explained.
Yeah.
Even if it's the simplest, straightforward, just dumb movie.
And then he goes, I just found out there's 28 days later.
Yeah.
I'll watch it and report back. So
they
which one
have
did you like
28
more?
days later, 28 weeks later, and then this is the third movie. It's 28 years later. But 28 Days Later sucked. It was the worst movie I've ever seen, for real. It was fucking that guy from Peaky Blinders, Thomas Shelby, and also Oppenheimer. It was that guy. He like wakes up in the hospital, and he's like, "Oh bloody hell! I've been in the camera for 3 weeks, mate." Or however the fuck British people talk. And then he gets up and he finds some people, and they're doing their thing. He's with this girl, and then they hear this broadcast. And the broadcast is like, come over here, like the army's here, and like this is your salvation if you can make it. And they're like, oh fuck yeah, let's make it our way over there. And then they go there, and then it's like a bunch of army dudes. And the first day they're pretty chill, and they're like, yeah, you guys made it, that's good. And then the day after, like the guys are getting a little rowdy, and they're like, look, I'm gonna be honest, there's no salvation here. We just put that out because we're trying to get some pussy. They were literally just trying to find girls, and they were like, got one, nice. And then, so long story short, fucking Oppenheimer had to kill him. Yeah, and then he made their way out, but it was ass. It was really just a bad movie.
Yeah, that's valid. But no, I think we would do well. I've watched so many zombie apocalypse movies. I actually am one of the few people. I actually have 2 episodes left of The Walking Dead, and I'll have watched all of it, which I don't think
had those 2 episodes left for the last 3 years.
I gotta wait for Nick. We gotta watch it together.
Fair.
I'm not gonna disband him. We watched there's like 17 seasons, bro.
Yeah.
It's absurd how much is left. There's like stormtroopers in it now.
It's so whacked.
But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So I think we do well. I mean, I think it's really just like you got to be okay with killing them. You got to be good at killing them. And you got to link up with people that are good at killing them. I think we have good negotiating skills.
Like if we found another group.
Like we haggled that hat guy down a few bucks.
True.
So what if we had 25 in the car right now?
True.
Because we did. and then we whatever. But
yeah, if we can talk down Ollie, we can talk down anyone.
Exactly. That guy didn't even speak English, and he was giving us a discount. So, no, I think we would do well, though. I mean, it's kind of such a broad question. It's hard to like have an answer, but I think it would be hilarious, though, because I would want to go to like Wild Bill's or like, you know what I mean? We'd be like, we need nicotine, we need
We'd be
beers.
rolling out with just like 50 half gals and like a
the
million
first trip,
vapes and Zens.
The first trip to the grocery store would be all like canned items that are going to stay good for a long time, and the second trip would be like beer and wine and just like looting their liquor section of
yeah. That's the one thing that we have to our advantage. I don't think either of us are particularly picky about food. Right. So we could literally just eat, dude, if we just got like a billion cans of beefaroni, I would eat so much beefaroni cold. Yeah. I don't give a fuck.
SpaghettiOs.
I can live off beefaroni forever. Dude, honestly, I kind of want some beefaroni right now.
Dude, some beefaroni, some SpaghettiOs sounds great.
Beefaroni is actually so good. Dude, why do we never eat that anymore? It's so good. It's like the perfect amount of spice and like,
dude,
it's everything you could want.
I can't believe that it's been like 3 hours and our Arby's didn't show up, so we're just not eating.
Neither of us have eaten since last night.
And mine's all gone.
Chris evacuated a lot of what he did eat last night. So yeah, that's digesting Cora. Next one, we're going back to another classic. We're doing Gem of the Week next, and my Gem of the Week is just the Apollo NASA program as a whole, but I'm going to specifically focus on Apollo 13. So I know we kind of talked about it yesterday, but how many times?
I don't even remember. We talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Apollo 13?
Yeah, well, no, because I asked you, I was like, how many times do you think that we landed on the moon? You said, none, bitch, that shit's all a lie.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the videos? Like, that's not how the flag would move.
Dude, I can explain all of that. If you really need me to explain why, yes, there is no wind in space, but when you plant the flag, it causes it to ripple because of the force of you putting it in there, and then because there's no atmosphere in space, when it starts moving, it doesn't stop moving because nothing acts against it to get it to stop. So that's why it's like that. But how many times do you think that we landed on the moon?
Twice.
6 times.
6?
Did you know that? 6 times. So just to give you...
When was the most recent? And why do they keep going back?
I think the last time... Gosh. I really don't know. So
it feels like it's been a while since we've been there.
No, it's been a very long time.
Like, do you think it's been in our lifetime?
No. Nope.
That's why it's hard for me to believe.
69 was the first time. I want to say the last time we did was 78, and that was like Apollo 17 or something like that. But to give you a quick synopsis on the program itself, they started with Apollo 1. That was the first mission where they were going to send kind of like the rocket that they were looking at up into space.
Yeah.
They were doing a training exercise, and they still don't know why to this day, but something triggered a fire within the, I guess, cockpit kind of area of the spaceship, and all 3 of the pilots got incinerated. Died.
That was Apollo 13?
Yep.
And well, it didn't like
no. That was Apollo 1.
Right.
So and Apollo 1, they literally just got incinerated.
So everyone on there died?
Yep. 3 pilots.
Dang.
And that was a training exercise.
You need 3 pilots in one rocket?
Well, typically they would do 3. I'll kind of get into it. So the next...
do you steer that thing?
Not really until you're in space.
Okay, makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, when you're first going off, because I mean, it's like 50 million pounds of thrust, or like, you know, it's like an insane amount, and like it's you have so much G-force on you, you're useless until like you're really out there.
That's how much thrust I have.
I will kill you. Shut the fuck up. Nah, that's pretty good. But no, so the next 6 ones, they were all kind of like training exercises and trying to make sure the equipment was good and all that shit. None of them really intended to go to the moon.
Yeah.
And then it was either Apollo 7 or 8. I can't remember specifically, but we got some of our intelligence saying that Russia was planning on doing an orbit around the moon with their next rocket, and we couldn't have them be first. So, like I said, it was either Apollo 7 or 8 that we sent up there, and it did the full orbit around the moon. And to this day, that is the furthest that anybody has ever been away from Earth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they orbited around the moon. So when they were on the back side of it, it was the furthest that anybody has ever been away.
Oh, interesting. This is a dumb question. Is the moon further away than Mars?
Nope, not at all. So the moon... Gosh, I'm going to sound like an idiot here because I forget the numbers, but I believe the moon's about 250,000 miles away from Earth, and I think that Mars would probably be like 250 million.
Don't they always like say how far away it is in light years?
Yeah, it's like impossible. Like, I mean, it's like all like the space fucking measurements. I have no fucking clue.
Dumbest shit of all time. How do I know how far away that is?
I believe though the moon is 250 million miles away. So
you know what they should in regards to distance, they should. Never mind, it's a dumb idea. I was gonna say they should make all things that you travel to like how long it will take you to get there. Like
So,
the moon,
time.
the moon is
No,
10 years away.
the moon, I believe, is about 42 hours away.
That seems quick.
Yeah. So
quick little day trip.
We'll actually get into that. Wow.
2-day
42
trip.
hours. Yeah.
Weekend.
It's a quick weekend away. Well, that's one way. And then the return trip, obviously. So it's like 84 hours, I think. But so that was Apollo. It was 7 or 8. I think it was 8. And then the next 2 missions were testing the lunar module and flying around the lunar module in space. So the way these early ships were constructed, they had their main, it was like the main like control cabin where like the pilots would sleep, and they would have like a lot of their supplies and shit.
Yeah.
That's where they would get most of the stuff done.
Yeah.
And then they had another attached piece that carried all like their fuel and like all their, you know, kind of like resources and shit.
Yeah.
And then the third piece would be the lunar module. And that was what actually flew down to the moon and flew them back up. So that's kind of like the 3 main components. And the third component that they had to figure out was the lunar module. So they tested that on Apollo 9 and 10. They deemed that it was good. And then Apollo 11 is the one where we landed on the moon and everything went well. And we were
allegedly
space race.
Allegedly.
I guess. It happened. But Apollo 12, which Apollo 11 and like landing on the moon is such like a built up thing. It really does make it feel like it happened once. That's why it blew my mind when I was looking into it. That happened 6 times. So Apollo 11.
Were we also in a race with Russia?
Yeah.
To get there first?
But we won it because we already landed on the moon and we just kept it going.
Okay. So like other. It just doesn't make sense to me that we go there and come back. Like, what are we doing when we're there? What's the goal when we go to the moon?
It's mostly like you're planting instruments that give readings down to the Earth so we can get scientific information.
Okay.
You're getting soil samples.
Now, does that information, if you're America and you go up there, does that information only come to America, or do we share that with the Union, or the what's it called? The United Nations.
Oh, I mean, you probably share it with your allies. I would assume you share it with your allies. Keep it safe from your enemies. But yeah, they're mostly taking like soil samples and like just kind of like fucking around and being like, this is what it is like in space, and this is like what we can learn from it.
Yeah.
Which actually, like I said, it's kind of interesting, right? So Apollo 11 was the first one where we landed on the moon. Apollo 12 was the next one where we also landed on the moon. But 2 interesting things about that: when that bitch was taking off, it was raining, and they were like, don't worry about it because we built this to fly in any weather. And it was flying up and it got struck by lightning. And the astronauts were like, that doesn't seem good. And they were like, no, we built it, it's fine. And it ended up actually being fine. But isn't that crazy?
So it just was okay with being struck by lightning?
Yeah.
Damn.
And it was fine. So they went up there and they got...
the astronauts build their own ship?
No.
I thought you said that. I thought you said, it's fine because I built it.
No. I did not say that. I don't know.
They should build their own ship.
I mean, most astronauts they're smart guys for sure, but they're mostly just really good pilots.
Have you ever thought, I used to want to do that as a kid. I used to want to be an astronaut.
I mean, nowadays it's not really, it's obsolete. I mean, like being an astronaut was the first thing that AI overtook. It's like, why the fuck would you ever have a person do this when you can just have an AI chip? It's like that movie where it's like in 1970, it was like, all right, we got to have this one woman write 10,000 pages of fucking equations to figure out how to get this thing in the air. Now Elon Musk is like, I have this very good chip, and I love putting it in here because it makes the plane vibrate again. Whatever. But, so, Apollo 12, they get struck by lightning, and then they land on the moon, and they get enough soil samples where the most interesting thing I found out about that one was that's how we know how the moon was formed, because we got enough soil samples and stuff like that from the moon where now we know that there was another planet in the solar system about the size of Mars, and its I guess orbit became unstable, so it smashed into the Earth, and then all the debris from it smashing into the Earth is what ended up forming to be the moon. And that's why the Earth is tilted on its axis. And they found that out. So that's kind of like just to give you a sense of like the valuable information they were getting.
Right.
But Apollo 13 was the first unsuccessful mission since Apollo 1. So, Apollo 13, they thought, you know how 13 is an unlucky number?
Yeah.
So they still chose to name it Apollo 13, and they took off on, or well,
it would have been bad juju if they skipped 13.
No, it's quite the opposite. So they were going too much into it, where they were going to be in space on the 13th, and they launched at 1:13 p.m., which in military time is 13:13.
Geez.
They fed into it way too much to try and be like cutesy, but it ended up kind of just biting them in the ass. So they're taking.
I've seen a documentary on it, but I forget, to be honest, what happened. So you kind of have to remind me.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it like very bare bones. Essentially, they take off, and in the initial stage of taking off, you normally have like 5 fuel cells or tanks, and one of them was failing, which means that they had to rely more so on the other ones. Which, you know, can get kind of dangerous because like, okay, this one failed. We don't have enough fuel as we planned.
Yeah.
But they ended up deciding that, you know, it's fine. And we can just rely on the other ones and we'll still have enough fuel to get home. So they ended up making it. And a few of the astronauts were quoted as saying like, well, we got the one bad thing out of the way. So now we don't have to worry about anything. Little did they know. One other thing I found interesting, though, was between them launching and, like, when shit really hit the fan, they did a broadcast down to Earth of, like, them up in the space station and being like, this is what it's like being in space and blah, blah, blah. And when they broadcasted down to Earth, none of the TV stations even played it. Because at this point, nobody gave a fuck about going into space.
Oh, because they've already been there so many times?
Twice. Yeah. I mean, or they landed on the moon twice, but it's just like, you know how Americans are. It's so hard to please them. It's like, been there, done that. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, losers in space.
What were they broadcasting down? They were broadcasting down that they were like in trouble, or
no? Just that at that point, it was just a video of them like, here's what it's like being in the space station or being in the spacecraft and like all that shit, and like them just living. You know, it was supposed to just.
Did anything else happen with Apollo 13?
So that's next thing. They're flying and they're getting pretty close to the moon.
Right, I thought it was like right when they got there, shit hits the fan.
They were pretty close. And like I said, you have these fuel cells, and the fuel is liquid oxygen. So a lot of times when you're flying in space, it can kind of get dispersed unevenly. So it's hard to know how much fuel you actually have left. So they have this thing in the fuel cells that kind of like mixes it around to make it dispersed evenly within there, so you can accurately gauge how much fuel you have left.
Yeah.
And they didn't know this at the time. But one of the fuel cells, it got kind of like literally dropped when it was being brought into the actual rocket. And when there's a few different like reasons I saw for it, but moral of the story is one of the fuel cells were damaged, and a lot of the wiring in it was, you know, impacted because of however it got damaged. Yeah. So when he went to go, he got ordered by Mission Control to spin it so they could gauge how much fuel they have left. And as soon as he clicked that, blew. Because one of the wirings, it was like not covered anymore, so it sparked. And, you know, like a little flame around a bunch of oxygen, big fire, right? Dang. So it blasted one of their fuel cells off, and then it, which was their oxygen as well as their fuel. So it did that to their main one and their secondary one. And all the astronauts, they hear that, and they're like, Houston, we have a problem. This is Apollo 13 is where Houston, we have a problem comes from.
Who's Houston?
Houston is where NASA mission base is controlled. Like that's like where everybody they talk to is.
Remember when we went? I wanted to go to the NASA thing. I think you were down, but no one else was down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's where like mission control is.
Houston, we have a problem.
Right. That's why.
What would you have said if you were up there?
I'm like, bitch, shit's kind of fucked.
I would have said, we're fucked. Oh, God.
But yeah, so blows out their fuel cells and their oxygen. So they're looking at it and they're like, this is not good. We have to figure this out right now. And they know that they're going to be out of oxygen. So they have to figure out where to go and like what to do. And the only option they have is to go to the lunar module because that thing has its own oxygen supply and oxygen to be able to support you for a couple days, obviously, when you're down on the moon.
And that's just like a separate part of the...
It's connected, but it is a separate part.
Yeah.
So they shut everything off in the main cabin 3, 2, 1. And so they go over to the lunar module. And like I said, it was built for, I believe it was for 2 8-hour excursions down to the moon. So 16 hours in total. But they knew,
suck up more oxygen if more people are in there?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So they knew that they didn't have enough oxygen, and it also was not built for the amount of time that they were going to be in there. But like I said, I'm going to try and keep it short. They originally were thinking about maybe just trying to swing around in front of the moon, but if you mess it up, you just crash into it. So they ended up swinging around the moon and using some of the moon's gravitational pull to, get them mostly in the right direction. Then they use their boosters to just get them pointing towards Earth.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of equations that went into it. They didn't have power in there because they shut off power in the main area. So they didn't have food because the food was frozen. They were drinking like 0.3 milliliters of water a day or something like that. So, and it was 37 degrees in the cabin by the time that they were like re-entering Earth's atmosphere. So they were freezing, they were starving, they didn't have water. And like I said, it was built for 2 people. So they had the filters to filter out the carbon dioxide, but because now there was 3 of them, and it was more of like a prolonged amount of time, they had to makeshift make carbon dioxide filters, and it was made out of duct tape, like plastic fucking sandwich baggies, and parts of their socks.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they built those and it worked. And so like diffused the carbon dioxide. But yeah, like I said, long story short, they get back. It took a lot of equations. They were almost wrong a bunch of times. And it's so you have to be so correct with that shit, because if you're not right, the Earth's atmosphere is a very strong force. So if you don't angle it perfectly, it's a very good chance that you can just bounce off the atmosphere, and then they would just be launched into space with no hope of survival. But they did it right. The equations were right. And despite
so when you come, I never really thought about landing a rocket, because you got to come through the atmosphere straight down, and then you got to turn around and land.
No. Elon's do now, but back then they would always land in the ocean. And the Navy would come pick them up.
I didn't know that.
They would always land in the ocean.
They just land in the ocean straight down, nosedive?
Well, not quite, because they have like a parachute. So,
so they hop out and they just crash the ship?
No. Like the ship has a parachute that makes their descent slower. And the ship was also built to float. Okay. But they do it for 2 reasons, because it's a very soft landing when you're coming from that high. But also, it's like the easiest way for the astronauts to get used back to Earth's gravity. Yeah. Because you're in 0 gravity, and then you go to Earth's gravity. And when you're in the water, you know how it is. It's kind of like
imagine being in the rocket ship when you transition back.
Yeah.
You would just fall to whatever.
Pretty much. Oh, well, dude, it was funny too, because like I said, when they were up there, they had all these piss bags that were floating around in there. Because they were originally throwing them out, and then the NASA astronauts in Houston were like, dude, you got to stop throwing these out, because when you throw them out, it fucks up your trajectory. So there was just 10 fucking floating piss bags floating around. And but I guess I failed to mention, they went back from the lunar module back to the main thing and flipped everything on, because the lunar module, since it was only designed to land on the moon, it didn't have a heat shield, which the main module did for when it re-entered Earth's atmosphere, because shit's blasting off, it's hot as fuck. So they had to go back in there and flip everything on, and then they landed and they were chilling.
Damn, bro.
But it was
what made you think about that this week?
I just love space, honestly. And
maybe it was my moon, my space candy. Because I think that's what it was called.
It could have been. Honestly, it could have been.
It's like moon ice cream or space ice cream or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love space. I love anything that has to do with the moon, and some of the shit blows my mind. I mean, everybody, when they think about landing on the moon, they think of Apollo 11, but nobody knows about the first guys that were the Apollo astronauts that got incinerated. They don't know anything about the next 7 missions that were testing everything out. Then you have Apollo 11, Apollo 12 successful, Apollo 13 fucked up, and then there's literally 4 more that land on the moon that nobody ever thinks about. Yeah, I mean, Buzz Aldrin and those astronauts, but nobody thinks about these other ones.
True.
So that's why I think it's
It's a
interesting.
good thought because mine's way different. My gem of the week this week is Love Island.
Yep.
I've been invested in Love Island. I'm not going to talk too much about like situationally what's happening there because by the time this comes out, I think it'll almost be over by the time it comes out.
What? How long does it run? I thought
They're
it
there
just
for
started.
a month. They're there for a full month. They release an episode every day.
That's kind of crazy to me. How
Yeah.
do they edit it so fast?
I agree. I don't know. I don't know if it's real time, to be honest with you. But America votes on shit. Like
Yeah.
you get to pick. Like that was one of the funny things that just happened. Is there's this couple that's been together since day one, but everyone's like, they're not doing it how you should. Like you're supposed to explore your connections and see if you like other people. And they were just together from day one, so America got to vote for the first time like 3 days ago, and they were just like, we're sending Jeremiah home because he's been in a relationship the whole time. So his couple,
they sent him home?
Yeah, so it's called getting dumped from the island. He got dumped. So
damn. I didn't know Love Island worked like that. So it's like a popularity thing, and you get voted off the island if you're not.
Yeah, but basically it's like you only are It's called you can be vulnerable. So like, if you're in a couple, you're safe. If you're not in a couple,
But wasn't he?
Yes, but he just left the couple because he just, which this girl is crazy, bro. This girl's named Huda. She's the craziest person on the show. And like, she's a mom. She's like 24 years old or something. And she's a mom. And she like waited to tell him. She was like, I need to make sure he likes me first before I tell him. So you're trapping him, I guess. But it's the funny part about her is that like, there was just an episode where Meg Thee Stallion came on, and Meg Thee Stallion was running this challenge where they just had to twerk, and
Nice.
like she got to pick who was the better twerker out of the girls and the guys, and which obviously set up for the girls to win, but the guys killed it, I will say. But Huda, acting all innocent and whatnot, gets up there and does a full stripper routine. And I was like, and there was like allegations of like her being a stripper before the show, but like nobody could confirm it. What I watched on that episode
confirmed it.
Only a stripper could do that. Like she was doing the shit where your legs are in the air, you're like, you know what I mean? Like you're laying on your back. I was like, oh my God, this girl is crazy.
Yeah.
But that's been, I mean, I love Love Island. I tweeted the other day, like, you know, if you're saying that you're a fake NBA, or if you're saying that you're a professional basketball player, you're not in the NBA, which is two guys on this show. One's in like Indonesia. The other one was, I forget, it was like French or something. But
yeah,
they're like, hey, I'm a pro basketball player. And then everyone on TikTok is exposing them because they average like 2 points a game and like don't even play in whatever league. Like you shouldn't even be able to say it. One guy said he retired from being a professional basketball player for 5 years. And then they looked up his stats and it was 2 points a game in Indonesia.
I don't think he have enough. He definitely has a job.
You need to have another job.
Yeah, there's no way he's like actually making enough money to be able to like support himself from that.
Yeah, and I think that like, other than that, the only thing I wanted to bring up, I do want you to start watching it because I know your girlfriend watches it.
I mean, I like
so
half listen
funny,
every time, but it makes me so mad. They're all the dumbest people.
Oh, that's the funniest part about it. Like. One time they're like, all right, Islanders, like you're gonna vote on which what I've realized is Total Drama Island was Love Island before it existed.
Yeah. My parents didn't let me watch Total Drama Island. They said that it was bad. Which to be fair, they said like a lot of stuff about boobs and stuff, so my parents didn't want me knowing about boobs.
I can't believe you were censored from Love Island or from
Total Drama Island.
Drama.
Dude, it was fucked up, bro. They were doing a lot of fucked up shit on there, and honestly, they were like fucking. They were literally making out and fucking on that cartoon show that we were watching as kids.
But they so that's how it works though. Is like sometimes the Islanders vote on who gets to leave.
Yeah.
And one of the times there's a girl on there, she's so dumb. Her name's Amaya. And they're like, Islanders are gonna vote on one of these two people that they want to send home because they were both single or whatever.
Yeah.
And she goes, we don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm like, you're on the show. You have to do that. Like, you can't be saying that shit. But what just happened, the big event, is basically like halfway through, so they're there for like 2 weeks, and there's people that are there originally. They bring on bombshells, what they call it, like new people, like every other episode.
Yeah.
And then the people that are on basically get to decide, like, do I want to stay with my person or do I want to talk to a bombshell?
It's so fucked.
And then, but the bombshells could couple up with their person too, like with the other bombshell or whoever else. So, so they're all like the OGs are all there for about 2 weeks, 2.5, and then boom, Casa Amor, which there's a separate island. This is all in Fiji, by the way. There's a separate island.
Dude, it's in Fiji?
Yeah.
Bro, what the fuck?
Yeah. There's a separate island.
Do you think you get paid to be on that?
Oh, well, no, because everyone views it as like their claim to fame. Like, I'm going to be a famous influencer after this.
So, like, the benefit is like you get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I don't think you get paid. But they have like 2 weeks in, they go, all right, all the couples, all the girls are going to go to a new island, and there's going to be 5 new guys on the new island, and they have to couple up with them. And then they bring in 5 new chicks on the guys' island, and they have to couple up with them. And like, this is the first year where they said that everybody's going to come back to the island. Like, normally you can still get voted off.
Yeah.
You're there, and then you come back, and your person that you were coupled up with is like, what the fuck? Like, I've been with you since day one, and he's not even coming back. But basically, 2 of the OGs got voted off in Casa Amor. But then they like made them couple up together. And it was funny because like what I'm enjoying about the show is I was just talking about this with my girlfriends. Like the guys feel like they love each other. Like the brotherhood is so strong that like it's almost stronger than like anyone's couple relationship. What's happening? Because like basically this guy has to get coupled up. Nick who's been with Sierra the whole time, has to get coupled up with Olandria, who's been coupled up with Taylor the whole time. And Nick and Taylor are like boys. But then Nick's been funny. I used to like him, but this last episode when they got coupled up, he's literally like every new bombshell that comes in, he's like, oh, like I like you so much, like da da da. He's talking to him. And then Olandria, like someone that's been on the show the whole time, he gets coupled up with her. He's like, I've actually like always had a thing for you. Like he just doesn't know how to talk to girls unless he's flirting.
Yeah.
How there's people like that.
Yeah.
But no, man, I'm enjoying the show. I got like 2 episodes to catch up on today.
What's that show called where they put like couples on an island or something, and it's like, oh, can you not cheat? You know what I'm talking about?
It's like The Ultimatum.
Something like that. But
that was a good ass show too.
There's like a Mexican version of it. And dude, there's this clip. Have you seen it where basically it's like the guy and like the producers bringing him in. They're like, watch this, and then he's like looking at this TV screen. It's like just a video of his like girl just getting like rabbit fucked by this fucking Mexican dude. He's like, like rabbit fucked, and the guy's just watching it. And he's like, no, and he gets up and he starts sprinting because they're on like 2 different islands. He's like sprinting, and they're like, no, you can't go over there, you can't go over there. He's like sprinting the fuck over there, and he ends up fucking like sprinting across and beating the dude's fucking ass. It's like, yeah, obviously, you fucking,
right,
you put him in a spot where his wife's getting fucked.
They all sleep. You have to sleep with who you're coupled up with, and they all sleep in one room together.
What?
Just all these beds right next to each other.
Really?
So like,
are people fucking though?
2 people have fucked so far.
In a room with everyone else?
Yes.
Oh my god.
They showed this girl, like there's a clip of her. They literally showed this on the show. She goes, licks her hand, spits on her hand, and then puts it under the fucking blanket.
Just jerked off the guy?
Hannah and Pepe.
Oh, Pepe. Pepe is Pepe is the biggest hand job name I've ever heard in my life.
I hate that guy. He is the guy that said he retired from pro basketball.
My God. Fuck that
and
guy.
His real name is Jose. It's not even Pepe.
That's
why would you? I was always like, first of all, if you're a girl, how could you ever date a guy named Pepe? Second of all, I don't know. It was that situation was crazy too. She was like, there was this British guy named Charlie on the show, and she was like, I think I'm finally mature enough to know that I need a guy like Charlie in my life. And I always go for guys like Pepe who are like the bad boys and like don't care as much and da da da. And then Charlie gets voted off, so she's stuck with Pepe. And now she's like, oh, I like Pepe.
I've always liked Pepe. He's a great guy.
She's like, I'm actually starting to realize he's such a good guy. I'm like, oh, you're just not.
He's not one of those bad boys.
That's gonna do it.
That'll do it for the episode. Let's fucking go, dude. Episode 12 is fucking bad.
Joe brought it up. It's like half a year.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Episode 13 is going to be half a year. Fuck. Episode 13, Apollo 13, something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
We might have to skip episode 13.
Yeah, facts.
But regardless, appreciate you guys as always. Fucking subscribe, comment, like it. Let us know if you guys want hats. More information coming in the next episode, but we'll see you guys then.
Been a few years, but I'm still ice cold. Still stacking up this paper, now my wallet won't fold. Could afford a little break from all those tracks that I sold. And I might have on the beat, turn these bars straight to gold.